I just don't think it's worth it. There are so many other bags out there that do the exact same thing that don't cost this tiny little fortune. Hey friends, my name is G.P.S. and welcome back. Today we'll be looking at some of the latest Hermes bag launches, most of which we have looked at and briefly mentioned in previous videos. But I thought we should revisit them because they are basically hitting stores any day now, obviously depending on where you shop. And while we're there talking about them, I thought we should also rank them. Now I have done a similar video of ranking some of the most popular iconic Hermes bags. So in case you have not seen that, make sure to have that video linked down below. But today we'll be doing the exact same thing, but with current and upcoming new launches. We'll discuss everything from pricing, sizing, to everything that we know today. So if you'd like to hear my thoughts on some of the latest Hermes bag launches, then please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and keep on watching. I've just started screen record on my screen so you can see everything that I see, and we'll be using the exact same tier maker app that we used in my previous video. Now I wasn't the one who came up with this idea. I think this tier maker idea was going around for a while in the beauty YouTube community, and that's what I was inspired by. But obviously we put our own twist to it and we made it Hermes. So just to go through some of the categories that each bag can belong to, we have a love category on top, which are obviously the bags that I loved and I would recommend that you look at. That's exactly what I'll do as well. The next category is great investment, which are pieces that I think you would really be able to take advantage of. These are the pieces that you would get your money's worth out of essentially. When I talk about investment, regardless of what video we're talking about, I don't really think in financial terms. I don't think about a bag as a good investment because you can buy it and then resell it for a profit later on. There are very few Hermes bags that you can do that with, mostly Birkins, Kellys, and Constances. And even with those, it can be difficult. You have to buy a bag that is going to be on trend when you sell it. You cannot really use it. It has to be in good condition. Yes, you can buy it and then sell it for about the same price that you bought it for if you hold on to it and if you take good care of it. But I don't think that's an investment. An investment is when you buy something with the intentions of selling it later on with a profit. And with Hermes bags, I think it is more difficult than it used to be, because of the crazy amount of resellers and pre-loved sites out there. I don't think it's quite as easy as it used to be, but that's a story for another day. So just so you know, great investment I mean by bags that you'll be able to use long term. I think those are not pieces that you have to baby and be careful with. These are pieces that you would get your money's worth out of. The third category is meh. These are the bags that you can live with or without. I feel if Hermes gifted them to you and said, hey, we have this extra bag, do you want it? You should absolutely take it. And I think you would enjoy it, but these are not pieces that I would go crazy for. Then we have Not For Me. These are the pieces that I think could work for a selected group of people, but I'm not one of them, and I don't think the big majority of Hermes customers would really enjoy them either. They are more an acquired taste, let's put it that way. And then the last category is bags to avoid. These are pieces that I personally wouldn't spend the money on for one reason or another, which I'm sure we'll get into. If we have any bags that would belong in that category, which I'm not quite sure yet. But without further ado, let's go ahead and look at our first bag here. Let's begin with a new take on the 24-24 bag in size 35. Which is not a new style by any stretch of the imagination. This is a bag that has been around for quite a few years at this point. And if you watched my previous ranking video, you may remember that I talked about this bag pretty extensively because this is a style that I was playing around with picking up. When I first saw this, it was almost love at first sight, at least when I saw it on the runway. But when I actually had a chance to see it in person, I didn't find it to be the most flattering on me. It's a bag that at this point comes in 3 different sizes. So you have 24, 24, 21, which is the mini version. You have 24, 24, 29, which is obviously the small size that does come with a shoulder strap similar to the mini version. And then we have the largest size, which is 24, 24, 35, which is this one that doesn't actually come with the shoulder strap. So you just get what you see, which is a bag. But for the new season, they are actually launching it in a new finish in Viking canvas, which is a canvas that Hermes uses from time to time. It's a really sturdy, hard-wearing canvas that has a pretty rough feeling texture to it. It's not the toughest canvas that Hermes uses, so the bag will still have this malleable, really soft, almost cloud-like effect. And then the trimming that you see on the side as well as the flap are made of Swift. This is a bag that I've seen in two different colors, in Sesame, which is this really beautiful neutral with the slightest hint of orange, quite similar to the color Gold by Hermes. And then I've also seen it in black, both with gold hardware. So if you love this, this is something that I believe is already available in certain countries. And the retail price of this is 7,050 euros. I'm not quite sure about the price in the US just yet. But in terms of category, where would this go? For me, I think it would be... I'm torn between meh and great investment. Great investment because I think this is, if you love the idea of this bag, this is something that you could use. I'm just nervous. I would be nervous about recommending this in fabric, especially in such a light color, because if you get this dirty, there is no way for you to clean this. Not even Hermes could get certain spots and marks out of this. So just be careful with that and keep that in mind. If you have toddlers running around or if you're clumsy, obviously this might not be the bag for you. But if you like the idea of it, if you like the fact that this is a bag that you can use 24/7, it should be taken from day to night really easily. And it's not going to stand out like a sore thumb no matter where you take it. I think this is a bag that you would enjoy, and the fact that it's in canvas makes it just a little bit more lightweight. The next bag on the list is actually one that we talked about quite recently in my last What's New from Hermes video, which of course will be linked down for you if you want to find out more about this bag, and also other Birkins and Kellys that should be launching at the same time. Now the reason why I put this in here, even though we talked about this quite recently, is because quite a few of you have already spotted this in stores, so I thought we might as well talk about it because it's a great sign that it should be launching hopefully very, very soon. So this is the Birkin 35 in the so-called Fray Fray style, which means that the entire bag other than the top flap and the handles is made of canvas, and then the edges are left raw frayed out, almost like a little poncho, which I think is really cute. Similar to the 24, 24, 35 in the canvas, this is not one of those pieces that I think you would be able to use on a regular basis because it's made of a light canvas. It is quite fussy. This is not one of those pieces that you can use, and if you get it dirty, it would be easy to clean. I think you would struggle with that. So this is not a bag made for everyday use, but if you're going to pull this out every once in a while in the summer or in the warmer month, I think this would make an incredible statement. So for me, this is gonna go in great investment. Not only because this would make an incredible statement and a unique addition to your collection, but if you kept this in good shape, I think at one point, considering that this is a limited drop, you could maybe even sell it for a profit later on in case you get bored of this style. And I almost forgot to mention the price of the Fray Fray Birkin. So I was really surprised when I heard the price of this piece, because usually canvas bags by Hermes are just as expensive, if not even more, as their leather counterparts. Trust me, I'm talking from experience. But the Fray Fray Birkin I found was really reasonably priced. So the Fray Fray Birkin in size 35 is going to be actually the exact same price as the 24, 24, 35. It's going to be 7,050 euros as far as I know, which I thought was a great price for not only a Birkin, but for a large Birkin made of canvas, which can be for one or two reasons. Either the type of canvas that they use is a little bit less expensive, or they just don't have that much leather in the construction of the bag. But regardless, you know the price, so if this is something that is right up your alley, you know what you should expect. But our next bag down here is one that actually walked down the fall-winter 2020 runway. But it took quite a while for this bag to actually hit stores. I know that it has been slowly dripping into stores over the past few months, but I'm hoping that we'll start seeing a lot more of it, which is the so-called Della Cavalleria bag. This is a bag that I really liked when I first saw this on the runway, but I wasn't quite sure until I actually had a chance to see it in person in a boutique on display. At the time it wasn't for sale, but at least I had a chance to see it for myself in person. And I have to say I was really impressed by not only the quality but also the shape and the hardware. Now I don't think that this is a bag that is going to be for everyone, but if you're looking for an understated but very interesting looking bag, I think you would adore this. But this is the bag that will be available in two different sizes, in mini and small. I believe the mini size is in 18, so it measures 18 centimeters at the bottom, and then the small version I believe is 25 centimeters, so it's really comparable to the sizing of the Constance bag, and I could see this being mentioned as an alternative to the Constance, but in my personal opinion, this gives you a really different look and feel than the Constance bag, so I don't think that that comparison would hold up. But the idea of it being a casual crossbody bag that you can either use as a crossbody bag, as a clutch, with the handle tucked in, or as just a shoulder bag, yes, in that sense, you could style this in similar ways. But the hardware just makes it look, in my opinion, a lot more casual. Which, speaking of the hardware, it feels really substantial and heavy. And it is a unique metal piece, which I really appreciate. I think if you're paying Hermes prices, there should be a beautiful refined piece of metal that you wouldn't see on other pieces. But of course it is inspired by Hermes' equestrian heritage. I initially thought that it might have been a stirrup, but I later found out that it was actually a horse bit that just curves downwards, that you actually use to open the top flap of the bag. And then if you look at the construction of the bottom of the bag, you can see that it has this really subtle curve to it, which again pays homage to Hermes' infamous saddles. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but the strap is adjustable, so can we have a round of applause for that? It's very rare for Hermes to do an adjustable strap, even though I think they should do it more often. So for me, this is going to be a love. It is quite expensive, so you can expect to pay, I believe, 3,900 euros for the mini size, and then the same bag costs around 6,000, the higher end of $6,000 price range in the US, but at the same time, it is a pretty unique bag. Moving on, we have two more bags, both of which had a really similar inspiration to the Della Cavalleria bag, but these two bags walked down the runway for Spring-Summer 21, which is actually a runway show that I did sort of a reaction video to, so in case you want to see that, all of my corresponding videos will be listed and linked down below. But at the time when I first saw this bag, we really had no information on it. Whereas now we have just a little bit more. I think if anything, this bag will take a little bit longer to launch than any of the previous one that we have discussed, just because it's from a more recent collection. But this bag, the next one, is the so-called Perspective Cavalleria bag. And of course it was inspired by the equestrian heritage of the brand and the different activities that a true horse fanatic would do. And you can definitely see all those essential elements in here. But this is a bag that was envisioned for the person on the go. It's available in two different sizes, in small and medium, both of which are kind of like if the Evelyn bag and then something like the Bolide or maybe even like a bucket bag had a baby. You definitely get that casual, effortless feel from this that you get from the Evelyn, but it's a lot more subtle and understated. Obviously you don't have the big age. All the emphasis is on the beautiful leather as well as the little cul-de-sac closure, the snap button that is on the top of the bag that you use to actually close it. The strap on this is also adjustable, so I guess Hermes is clearly taking note of all the feedback that they've been receiving for decades on adjustable shoulder strap. The strap on this is one that you can adjust, And if you have a really close look at it, you can see that each hole is actually numbered, which is something that Hermes used to do in their men's collection. So even though this bag is in their women's line, it definitely took inspiration from some of their previous pieces that had been done for men. And I think this, just like any piece by Hermes, can be worn by anyone. Buy whatever you like, but in case you feel a little bit more intimidated buying pieces that were designed for men or for women, just know that this draws inspiration and features from both categories. So that I think is a good piece of information to know. Let's discuss where this bag should go. So obviously this bag is a functionality first bag piece. This is one where you have the strap that is adjustable, you have the different compartments, you have the closure on top. Even the leathers that I have seen this in mainly were in Togo with a hunter strap, which is a really sturdy piece of leather. But the fact that the bag itself is made of Togo implies to me that they want this bag to be super fuss-free, easy to use. They don't want people to worry about scratches and marks. So because of that, I'm going to put this in. So this is not a bag that is for me. For me, this is a little bit too utilitarian. But at the same time, I cannot forget about the fact that I feel that this is a bag that if you bought, you would really be able to take advantage of and use regularly. So I think I'm going to put this in great investment because I think it would be a great investment for a selected group of customers who are looking for something really understated and simplistic, yet user-friendly. For me, it's a little bit too simplistic, but I hope you know what I mean. And in terms of price, I believe this is going to be around 3,000 euros in Europe, and then it's going to retail for, in the smaller size, for just around $5,000 in the US. Our next bag down here is the more debris bag, which similar to the Perspective walked the runway for spring-summer 21. But if anything, I find this to be the most trend-oriented or the most trendy bag out of the bunch, because any of the hottest brands of the moment could have launched this bag. So Bottega, Prada, or even the Row. If they launched something quite like this, I wouldn't be surprised, because these really sleek, streamlined, flat-looking bags are, I think, going to be the biggest trend for the upcoming season, that obviously have this really strong vintage influence to them. These are the sort of bags that you can barely fit anything into because there's really no body to the bag. They are super flat, and then if you have anything, that is going to be just enough to maybe fit your phone and a card holder in there, and you will be maxed out, which I completely understand why people are doing it, but it's really not my cup of tea. To me, it just looks a little bit too old school. But this bag, the More Debris bag, the name and the inspiration, again, comes from the equestrian roots of the brand. They not only pay homage to their harness making heritage with the strap, but you can also see the inspiration on the top bar of the bag that was perhaps inspired by, again, the horse bit, which I think does make this bag really special and what is going to make this bag stand out from the crowd. I think at this point and in the coming month, you'll see plenty of bags that have a really similar shape to them, as I mentioned, from brands like Prada, The Row, and even Bottega. But if you love Hermes, you'll pick up on those tiny little details. So it is a pretty special bag, but definitely not one for me. I wouldn't even say that this bag is a meh, because if Hermes handed it to me, I wouldn't want to keep it because it would just create clutter in my home. I know I would never use this. So I'm going to say not for me, mainly because of that vintage inspiration, but it is beautifully done. I appreciate their little hidden Easter eggs inside of the bag that you can pick up on if you're a true Hermes fan. But this is really not a bag that I personally would see myself wearing. But I can definitely imagine this being styled with a really simple stripped down minimalist outfit from a brand like The Row. And lastly, we have two tote bags left. And I was actually contemplating taking one of them out because I wasn't sure if it would be too redundant for me to talk about two tote bags in the same video. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized how truly different they are. So let's start with the leather one. So I'm pretty convinced that this should be available worldwide very soon. But I have no doubt this is going to be one of those pieces that will sell out in a heartbeat. Not that anything takes a long time with Hermes, but I think because of the price and because of the idea of this bag, this is one that is going to be flying off the shelves, which is the so-called Kabucelli bag in size 31, which is this ultra simplistic, minimalist, stripped down tote bag made of leather that has no lining, that has no pockets on the inside. It's just a super simple tote bag with one external pocket that has the most subtle age branding that is actually embedded in the stitching. And the idea of this bag is that this was designed specifically to accompany your mini bags. So if you are a huge fan of mini and micro bags, which we all love, but let's be honest, they are not the most functional, this is the perfect bag to go alongside with those outfits, where you want to use a mini bag, but you don't want to carry something else to hold your essentials that would take the attention away from the mini and micro babies in your life. So this was designed to hold your essentials, but it's not over the top, it's not in your face. This should just blend into whatever outfit you want to style this with, leaving all the attention to your coveted baby bags. It's available in a huge array of different colors, from blacks and neutrals all the way to more vivid hues. And while I think it's all great and fantastic that Hermes has one of these more simplistic bags in their portfolio currently, but in my opinion, for the price, you can do a lot better. This bag costs 2,100 euros in Europe and just under $2,900 in the US. And for that kind of money, I just don't think it's worth it. There are so many other bags out there that do the exact same thing that don't cost this tiny little fortune. So I'm kind of going back and forth between not for me and meh. I would go for not for me because I could see people enjoying this because it's so simplistic. And it is, at the end of the day, a functional bag. So I think I'm going to say not for me. You know what? No, I'm actually going to do meh, because if they gave this back to me for free, if they said, we have an extra one, do you want to take it? I wouldn't be like, no, I don't want it. I would take it because I could use it for something. But for the price, I know I wouldn't pay that kind of money for a bag that is quite as simplistic as this. And our last bag is also a tote, very different from the previous one. Not only because of the shape and the construction, but also because of what the bag itself is made of. So this is the so-called H tote, which comes in canvas. And this particular canvas print is quite new to the Hermes portfolio. This is the so-called Ash on bias, which, as you can see, features this really asymmetric tilted H motifs. And this particular bag features quite a few of these asymmetrical sort of elements. So if you look at the handle is also attached in an asymmetrical tilted way to the bag itself, which you'll either like or you'll dislike. Personally, it really freaks out my OCD that it's not perfectly straight and really nicely, neatly done. So it could perhaps look like a mistake. It's not. That is what it is meant to look like. That's the inspiration behind it. For me, it personally doesn't work. But this is a new addition to the Hermes portfolio, so we have another tote bag. But this one is quite a bit smaller than the Cavaliere. This is only 27 centimeters, but it is much taller. And then the handles are also quite a bit shorter, but you do get this longer strap that kind of reminds me of the strap of the Her bag. I don't think the strap would be quite long enough for you to wear this bag as a crossbody bag, but you could comfortably put it under one shoulder. For me personally, this is going to be an avoid. You know what it reminds me of? To me, it kind of looks like the kind of bag that they would give you as a free gift if you bought a fragrance, especially because I can see the motif being used on one of their Hermes men's fragrances, or something like the H24. I could definitely see some sort of a motif like this going on. So I get that there's a little bit of leather. I get that the canvas is more sturdy than it would be on just, freebie. But I still get that feel from this. So for me, this is going to be an avoid. Whereas the Kabucelli, I think you could take advantage of purely because it's made of a divine piece of Clemence leather. This is just not for me, and I really wouldn't recommend for anyone to spend their money on this. I just think for this kind of money, you can do a lot better. There are so many other pieces that give you a lot more bang for your buck. and also add a lot more value to your collection. And this completes today's video of ranking some of the newest Hermes bag launches. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please let me know in the comment section if you agree with my ranking. What are your thoughts on these bags? Would you have ranked them in the same position that I did? I would love to know what you think about these pieces. Are you considering picking any one of them up? Are they going to be a pass for you? Be sure to let me know. And if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to hit subscribe down below as well. This was my last Tuesday upload, so we'll go back to uploading regularly on Thursdays and Sundays from now on. But I am sort of toying with the idea of maybe throwing in a third video a week here and there, so stay tuned. I'll keep you posted on how it goes. I don't want to make any empty promises, so for now, I just say we'll go back to uploading 2 times a week on Thursdays and Sundays. But keep your eyes peeled because there might be a third video popping up here and there. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.